So the anthems are done and the teams are ready to kick off in Rostov, 600 miles south of Moscow, a port city, close actually to the border with Ukraine. The 10th largest city in Russia is home to some 1.1 million people, and this is the stadium, the Rostov Arena, that holds just over 45,000, and there's barely a spare seat to be seen at the moment. It hosted the Brazil-Switzerland game on Sunday and will host one round of 16 game as well. We gave you the Uruguay starting 11 a few moments ago. Luis Suarez earning his 100th cap, 2 changes in that side. So let's turn our attentions to Saudi Arabia, of course, thrashed, humiliated in the opening game in Moscow, 5-0 by the hosts. And that led the Saudi FA chief Adel Izzat to say that several players will face a penalty when they return home. It wasn't specified what exactly that would be, but he singled out goalkeeper Abdullah Al-Mayouf, defender Omar Housawi and striker Mohamed Al-Salawi for particular criticism. And it's no surprise that amongst 4 changes, neither of those players starts today. So in goal, it's the third choice, Mohamed Al-Awais, earning just his 7th cap. It's a back 4, right to left, Mohamed Al-Break, Osama Housawi. In comes Al-Balehi and then Yasser Al-Sharani, who was one of the few bright spots getting forward on the left-hand side for Saudi Arabia in that opening game. Abdullah Ofaith will hold the midfield. Taizir Al-Jassam and Salman Al-Faraj just ahead of him. Up front on the right-hand side, Hatem Belhebri is on the right, Fahad Al-Muwallad down the middle, and Salem Al-Dasawi is on the left-hand side. It's a fairly simple equation today. The light blues of Uruguay will go through to the knockout stages with a win, and that would send the Green Falcons of Saudi Arabia home after just 2 games. Uruguay haven't won their opening 2 games of a World Cup since 1954, and actually the opening game, the victory over Egypt, was their first time win since 1970. So it's all set up. Stephen Warnock, who went with England to the 2010 World Cup, recently retired from the game. All set up for a big Uruguay win here today, but the Saudis are playing for a bit of pride after that disaster on the opening day.
Massive pride. To be called out by like that, you need a reaction now. You've got to have a big reaction within the camp for your nation. You've been embarrassed at a World Cup, and then you go and play against Cavani and Luis Suarez. How do you deal with them? It's going to be very interesting. They're going to have to try and sit deep, make it very difficult for them to get through, but we're in for an exciting game. We expect a lot of goals.
The entire pitch is in shadow, just a band of sunlight illuminating the stands on the far side, and it's the all-white strip of Saudi Arabia that get us underway, kicking from right to left as we look at things, and it's Uruguay with their light blue shirts, black shorts and black socks, who are kicking from left to right, and they have a goal kick already with the ball sent long and behind the goal line. Now Uruguay, they've gone for a bit of experience in the wide areas. Naitan Nandez and Georgian Arrascaeta, Stephen, have bowed out, and they certainly made an impact, Christian Rodriguez and Carlos Sanchez, when they came into the first game. Eventually Sanchez sending in a free kick in the 89th minute for the only goal for Jimenez in that 1-0 win. So perhaps not a surprise to see more experience brought in.
No, possibly not. I think sometimes you look at the World Cup before it and you say give the youth a chance. He tried the youth, they didn't perform at that stage of the game, brought the experienced players on, and they delivered at crucial times for Uruguay. And they are a very, very experienced team, and one that we expect today that will put Saudi Arabia under immense pressure.
Here's Diego Godin, their captain, who Martin Keown said on Friday is the professor of defending. Takes one to know one, doesn't it? Martin Keown praise indeed from him. And his 118th cap against Egypt, so number 119 today. He's got the ball again just inside his own half. Square he goes to his Atletico Madrid teammate and fellow central defender Jose Jimenez, who got that winning goal late on, a thumping header from that Sanchez free kick. Early pressure coming from Uruguay at the moment. happy to keep the ball. Muslera gets a touch, and his all-red strippers goalkeeper is Jimenez, and already the Saudi Arabians, unlike in the early stages of the opening game, they are now sitting back and looking to contain, but they've got a problem here earlier on, and Suarez with the first shot in anger, and it cannons off a Saudi defender and goes out for a throw-in on the far side, a left-footed effort in his 100th cap, and he looked already slightly sharper than he did on the opening day for Uruguay.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia have dropped off, tried to deny space, and it was a lovely ball over the top, cushion header, and Suarez, unlike the other day, wasn't waiting. He was unleashing a shot straight away, and it's a fantastic block by the centre half from Saudi Arabia. We're just seeing it again, and it's a great block. But Suarez again looks sharp straight away.
It was Ali Al-Balahi with the block. He's come into this side, one of those 4 changes, plays for Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. The entire Saudi squad are home-based in the Saudi Pro League. Well, Luis Suarez, he was below par against Egypt. One tweet I saw says from biting to choking, which I thought was a little bit harsh on him. He did miss 1 or 2 chances, one particular at the back post that he put into the side netting. And here's the first ball into the penalty area for Saudi Arabia. Good defending at the near post by Godin to get it clear. But Saudi Arabia, who are wearing very pristine white kits with their green numbers on the backs, and they have a free kick on the far side just inside the Uruguayan half, and the foul there on that far side by Christian Rodriguez. Taken quickly by Saudi Arabia, who will, I think, feel they need some possession here early in the game. They took the game to Russia the other day. In the first 10 minutes, they played some nice stuff. But then it's fair to say, Stephen, the wheels came off spectacularly during that match. And they're approaching the penalty area now. Al-Dosawi, there's a cross to the back post, but it's straight to the goalkeeper, Fernando Muslera, playing in his 3rd World Cup finals. But a bit of promise in that passage of play for Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
I think what you'll find with Saudi Arabia is all very comfortable on the ball, great technically, defensively, struggle. They struggle to find a shape, and they struggle in a way to be very creative up top. That they look pretty in and around the midfield and passing it around comfortably, but to actually make an impact on the game.
And they're knocking the ball around quite nicely now. It was Al-Faraj back to Balahi, now back with the goalkeeper Mohamed Al-Awais, voted the best goalkeeper in the Saudi Pro League last season, so he was the preferred choice to take over from Al-Mayouf, who conceded 5 on the opening day. Here's Faraj into the Uruguayan half of play. Square it goes to Al-Dosawi, but he gives the ball away, and Uruguay can roll it back to the goalkeeper Muslera, and they can build from the right-hand side through Jimenez. Well, the Saudis had a bit of drama of their own yesterday on the way to Rostov. An engine on their plane caught fire. There are videos of it online, not for the faint-hearted. Flames clearly visible beneath one of the wings of the plane. And a long diagonal ball is going to be too far, I think, for Carlos Sanchez on that right-hand side, and it's away for a Saudi throw-in. An initial statement from the airline, Rasaya, said the cause was a bird flying into the engine, and the Saudi Football Federation later said on Twitter the players are safe, they're heading to their residence after a technical failure. And Juan Antonio Pizzi, the manager, it's a free kick to Saudi Arabia down near their own corner flag. There was no panic, we were cool and calm, and we fully trusted the pilot. But I think they were shaken, but in the end not stirred. But that sounds like a pretty frightening experience, not least after a 5-0 defeat and the day before one of the biggest games of their lives.
Yeah, it's not ideal preparation, is it? That's not what you need the day before a game, but thankfully they're all safe and well, and they're here today and ready to take part in this game.
Al-Awais in all lime green thumps a free kick forward, which is brought down on the edge of the Uruguay penalty area, and they've got themselves a free kick here. Matthias Vecino with the foul on Hatem Berebi. It was excellent distribution by the goalkeeper, a slightly rash challenge by Vecino, and Saudi Arabia have an opportunity here with an early free kick. Defeat, and they go home. Well, after playing Egypt in their final game. What's this, about 7 or 8 yards out of the penalty area, just to the right-hand side of Muslera's goal. He's organising his wall. At the moment, it's 4 men. And you can hear the Uruguayan fans finding their voice in Rostov. It's going to be Salman Al-Faraj of Al Hilal with the left foot. Played 90 minutes against the Russians, scored with a free kick against Algeria in May. His only other international goal was in the first round of qualifying against East Timor. And it looks like it'll be him. There is a right-footed option as well. Our referee today, Clément Turpin from France, is just having a word with the members of the wall. Yasser Al-Sharani is also over this, and so too Al-Break, the defender. So there's three of them. Whistle blows. It's Al-Break who will take it, deflected off the wall, and it's behind. And he feels, I think, the defender, Al-Break, that was goal-bound. In the end, it was Rodriguez who it cannoned off and went wide.
It's a good start from Saudi Arabia, though. Confidence built. A few passages of play that they've got in just in behind Uruguay and in behind the midfield in good areas. And it's a good opportunity to get a strike on goal.
Taken short. Here's Al-Faraj. Bit of skill to get past Sanchez, and a curling right foot cross. It was far too close to the goalkeeper Muslera, and they had bodies at the back post there, Saudi Arabia, but the cross was far too straight, and in the end easy for the goalkeeper, who equals the Uruguayan record for World Cup appearances today, Fernando Muslera of Galatasaray. It's his 13th. Reports I saw in the build-up to the game suggest that Watford have made a bid to bring him to the Premier League next season, so watch this space. It's a foul on a Uruguayan defender, and they have a free kick in their own half.
Well, he's very greatly experienced, isn't he? Been at Galatasaray for about 7 years now, so someone who's got that experience to come into the Premier League and probably fit in quite comfortably.
Uruguay in possession, 0-0 in Rostov. 8 minutes into this Group A game between Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. Of course, in this group last night, Russia took a stranglehold. Another 3 goals for them, a 3-1 victory over Mo Salah's Egypt. Salah with the only goal for the Egyptians. But Russia, 6 points out of 6. Can Uruguay do the same? And I'd say render the final game between the two meaningless, but it could be significant for both, because the winners will face the second place in the Spain-Portugal group, assuming it's those two that qualify from that, and Portugal with a victory over Morocco today, and Spain playing tonight against Iran in Kazan, 7 p.m, Alistair Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton. So that game between Russia and Uruguay could have big significance.
Yeah, and it's who do you want to play? Do you want the Spanish or do you want the Portuguese? Both great teams. It's a toss of a coin, isn't it? I think you look at it and the chances created against Portugal today by Morocco, you'd say that, yes, I'd like to face Portugal, but then an informed Cristiano Ronaldo, very tough again. But the Spanish team, we'll see how they play tonight, but I thought they were immense against Portugal, apart from the David De Gea mistake that changes the game, but they look their team in form at the moment.
Saudi Arabia with more good possession. They've got a throw in 15 yards inside the Uruguay half on the Saudi right. Another goal for Ronaldo today. Interesting that he turned up with a goatee. You know, they say about the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and Lionel Messi was photographed on the cover of a magazine literally holding a goat before the tournament, so maybe that's the response from Ronaldo. Yeah. There's a message there in the chin fluff from CR7.
Yeah, I've always thought Messi, but the way Ronaldo steps up to the big occasion, he's growing on me. I know that sounds really strange because of how well he's done over the years, but in the big games when he's needed and he's counted on, God, he doesn't half step up.
Throw in again to Saudi Arabia on the right hand side, and well, we can't say he's a flat track bully, can we? A hat-trick in the opening game against Spain, and then one today against Morocco. But here comes Saudi Arabia on their right hand side, enjoying some good possession. It's broken up again by that experienced backline of Uruguay. Clearance by Muslera, only as far as the chest of Salem Al-Dosawi, and he does well. Saudi Arabia in possession on their right hand side. It's Al-Break, the right back. Infield it goes, now with Osama Housawi and his fellow centre-back Balehi. Here's Al-Sharani, the left-back, wearing number 13, but it's given away by Al-Dosawi, and then the foul on Luis Suarez as Suarez was scampering away from him. and he might be fortunate to get away with a yellow card here. Suarez is dragged to his feet. It was a heavy touch initially by Al Dasawi, and then he just caught Suarez, who was about to sprint clear into the Saudi half. No yellow card. 0-0 between Uruguay and Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay in possession back in their own half through Godin. And here's Vecino. Jimenez. It was his 6th international goal that gained all 3 points for Uruguay in the closing stages against Egypt, I should say. Here's Caceres, and he goes to Edinson Cavani on the left foot beyond the near post, and he skies the effort. He hit the post with a stunning free kick against the Egyptians, and he just needs to recalibrate after that chance early in this game against Saudi Arabia.
It's a lovely ball over the top, and Caceres gets down the left-hand side, and that's the lack of understanding that Saudi Arabia have within their shape, letting runners run in behind. It's a lovely pullback, and a man in form in Cavani, you'd expect him to at least hit the target there, and that's a chance that's gone begging for him.
Saudi Arabia bring the ball forward and earn themselves a throw-in on the far side, just inside the Uruguay half. Edinson Cavani was impressive against Egypt. In fact, after the game, he swapped shirts with Mohamed Salah, who didn't get onto the field. He said, "I took Salah's shirt as a gift for my children, who see him as a star." What a wonderful moment between those two.
It's a lovely touch, isn't it?
From a player of the stature of Edinson Cavani to say, actually, my kids like you.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Shirt.
Yeah. And I think it's a respect thing, isn't it, between two great professionals.
I think it's partly down to how Mohamed Salah carries himself as an individual as well, isn't it? He's almost universally well liked.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's been exceptional this year, just in the way he has handled himself on and off the pitch.
Edinson Cavani, who reached the 100-cap milestone before Luis Suarez, but has 9 goals fewer at international level, but 93 before them. There's a foul by Abdullah Otaif, the holding midfielder, who lasted 64 minutes in the opener. Oscar Tabarez has just called over one of his team for a word. The free kick is taken. Tabarez, known as El Maestro, the teacher, 71 years old, and we've seen him at the training ground in a wheelchair. He uses a cane, a walking stick, to get from the dressing rooms to the benches. He's suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome. Long ball forward down the right-hand side. He's kept in play, and it's into the side netting. But from Luis Suarez, who's claiming that that's a corner kick. Now, forward on the right was Guillermo Varela. Did he keep this ball in play? It was along the byline to Suarez, and Suarez put it into the side netting. He did, you know, and he did take a deflection and go into the side netting, so by rights that should be a corner kick to Uruguay. But I think a goal kick has been given. The wrong decision. That was close.
It was close. Saudi Arabia really having trouble with this. Sanchez on one side, Rodriguez on the other. They're dipping inside to get the ball, and the overlaps are coming from the fullbacks, and the Saudi Arabian fullbacks don't know whether to go inside. If they go inside, they're playing the ball, so they don't know whether to stay tight with the man. As soon as they go in tight, the fullback's going and the winger's not staying with him. It's very, very hard to play against at times. It needs communication between the fullback and the winger to say, I'm staying with that man, or I'm going and you take the runner. They're going to need to sort this out early doors, because that's twice they've got down the sides now, and it's been either flank as well.
Suarez just committed a foul on Al-Balahi, and the two exchange a few words after that as well. Balahi's making his World Cup debut. It's only his 5th cap, so it's a tall order for him this afternoon, up against the likes of Cavani and Suarez. Is there any chance with Saudi Arabia having a throw in halfway inside their own half on their right-hand side? But Suarez played slightly within himself in the opener, bearing in mind what happened in the last 2 World Cups, particularly with the bite on Chiellini that ended his 2014 edition. Or is that not something that you think would come into Luis Suarez's mind? It's hard to tell, isn't it?
You wouldn't think it would, but I guess it has to, because everyone watches the World Cup. It's such a worldwide thing that the TV audiences are huge, and it has a big impact on the way you're looked at in the world of football. It's a massive thing. He has to be thinking about that, but the only way that Luis Suarez can put that right is by scoring goals.
Uruguay have a throw-in just by the technical area. Juan Antonio Pizzi in a grey suit, the Saudi manager, pointing to his charges. Al-Balaif with a attempted clearance, then it's a handball given against Matthias Vecino of Inter Milan, and Saudi Arabia can clear their lines.
Looking forward to seeing him play today, Vecino. I thought he was excellent in the first game. He's similar. He got a lot of stick from pundits for saying he only passes sideways and things like that, but his pass percentage ratio is incredible in the Serie A. I think he's something like 88% last year, and you're thinking of that. But he's a young player who's come into the Uruguay team, and he's just in there to keep things ticking. And when he does see a forward pass, he can't half hit a forward pass, and he finds it at pace. And I think the front players appreciate that, because they know when it's the right time, he'll find that pass.
Well, the ball is sent straight out of play by Abdullah Otaif, who is known as the Saudi Modric. We've also got the Saudi Messi out there as well, haven't we, Stephen? And there's another player in the squad called the Saudi Neymar, which made the 5-0 defeat on the opening day a little hard to understand, but not to be too disrespectful, they hardly mirrored the talents of those aforementioned players. Long ball forward is out of play for a goal kick. A stretching Christian Rodriguez, who plays his club football back in Uruguay these days, 32 years of age, over 100 caps to his name. He couldn't quite stretch and keep that long ball in play. Goal kick to Saudi Arabia.
Well, I bet the Saudi Arabians wish they had the Saudi Arabian Godin, someone at the back to really drag the players about and be strong and be a leader. It's great having all these other players up top. I was known as a great striker when I was younger, and look where I ended up. So,
well, Al-Shirani could be the Saudi Stephen Warnock.
that doesn't bode well for him.
Goal kick taken long into the Uruguay half. And the header is won by a light blue shirt, Rodrigo Betancourt, who broke into the Juventus first team towards the end of the Serie A season and in the Champions League, the business end of that tournament against Real Madrid. But Saudi Arabia have the ball back, and then Betancourt sticks out one of those long left legs to intercept, but then he runs into Abdullah Otaif, and he keeps possession for the Saudis, who look neat, they look tidy in possession, they have technical ability. But it's at both either end of the field where the problems seem to start.
Yeah, it's on transition when they lose the ball. It's how they recover and the shape that they get into. That's what they don't seem very organised in. I find it interesting as well that the manager doesn't speak the language. So how does he get his message across to the players whilst on the pitch as well? I think they only have one Spanish-speaking player within the squad, and that becomes very difficult to get their messages. We all talk about football being a universal language, but you do need advice or instructions at times to come onto the pitch, and they need to be crystal clear.
Some neat possession for the Saudis, but now the ball is given away, and here come Uruguay on a potential counter-attack. Rodriguez stabs it forward, looking for Carlos Sanchez. That's a nice ball back for Luis Suarez out to the left-hand side. It goes here to Cavani. There's the cross, and it's just repelled at the near post by Yasser Al-Shirani before he can reach Suarez, who had then darted towards the back post, and it's a Uruguayan corner.
Well, that's the best passage of play I've seen Uruguay play in 2 games. They've been poor in the first game. They've been poor so far in this game, just building themselves into it. But nice link-up play there.
Taken quickly, Sanchez into the area, and actually he should have done better. There are 5 teammates remonstrating with him. His low cross, or was it even a shot towards the near post, was easy for the goalkeeper, and he was inside the penalty area, right on the side of the area. After that quickly taken corner kick, they weren't alert to that, Saudi Arabia, but the chance was lost. And now Saudi Arabia are attacking down the inside right channel, right on the edge of the penalty area. Desari into Moualad, and there's a shot from Fahad Moualad, and it's over the top, and he looks a little bit frustrated, who was at Levante on loan from Al Ittihad, but that's perhaps the closest Saudi Arabia have come so far.
I think he's actually frustrated because he wanted the first pass. You see him getting frustrated here, and he wanted it earlier into his pass. He felt he was in a good position. Just going back to the corner before that, though, I think it's Sanchez comes inside. If he sticks it to the back post, just hangs it up, there's 5 players in the background, at the back post, that have got a chance to score.
20 minutes in, Uruguay 0, Saudi Arabia 0. Let's take you to Ascot for the closing stages of the Prince of Wales Stakes. John Hunt.
Thank you, Arlo. Bright sunshine here. This is the Day 2 feature at Royal Ascot. And to describe Cracksman as a Suarez or a Cavani perhaps undersells this great racehorse. He's looking for his 4th straight Group 1 win here. But just like at Epsom last time, where he won the Coronation Cup in hard-fought manner, he is racing very lazily in the early stages, having been quite slowly away. He's in 4th place as they come past halfway, with Eminent taking the field along. He's followed then on the outside by Royal Julius, who's the rank outsider. Hawkbill driven along in 3rd, and Cracksman, Frankie Dettori on board this wonderful racehorse, but Dettori has not been motionless for one step of this race so far. He's just niggling along, Dettori's elbows flapping along on Cracksman in 4th place. Behind him, Poet's Word is travelling very well indeed, and this is going to be fascinating to see what Cracksman can find as he turns into the home straight, 4 wide. So far it's a laboured performance by this wonderful racehorse. He's got to wake himself up shortly. Eminent, Hawksbill, now Cracksman with a wave of Dettori's whip gets to the front, but here on the outside, Poet's Word looks a massive danger to him on the outside. Is Cracksman going to be beaten here? Poet's Word takes a narrow advantage from Cracksman in 2nd place, less than a furlong to go. Cracksman appears to have no response. They put an excuse up last time as having banged his head. Well, he didn't today. Cracksman is going to be beaten. Poet's Word, a minor surprise here at Royal Ascot. He's the 2nd favourite, ridden by James Doyle. Poet's Word has beaten the mighty Cracksman. Back to Uruguay and Saudi Arabia with Arlo watching.
Thank you, John. The deadlock has been broken in Rostov. It was a corner kick for Uruguay from their left-hand side, missed by everybody except, of course, Luis Suarez on his 100th appearance for the national team. An easy finish into the empty net, a left-footed volley. It may have flicked off a Uruguayan head, Jimenez, on the way, but it was a terrific finish from about 6 yards out, and it's Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 0. Luis Suarez with his first goal of Russia 2018.
He keeps everyone quiet now, doesn't he? He's just thrown Al Jassam out the way in the box. He just shrugged him aside, wanted it more, and an easy tap in. We say easy, he missed a couple of them the other day, but he wasn't missing them again today.
So as it stands then, La Celeste, the light blues, would be qualifying for the knockout stages once again, and Saudi Arabia, their tournament would be over with a game to spare. When you say that he muscled a defender out the way, there was any case for VAR to be used there? Was that just
no, not at all. It was just he wanted it more. They were both holding on to each other. It was only just arm on arm, really, but he just wanted it more. And I think it's a striker's anticipation and knowing where the ball's going to fall in the box as well.
So Luis Suarez in his 3rd World Cup. His first one was ended with a suspension for handball against Ghana in the quarter-final. You remember that Ghana missed the ensuing penalty and Uruguay went through on penalties. And then 2014 with that bite on Chiellini led to a 4-month ban from all football and a 9-match international ban. But he's off the mark in 2018, and he tees up Cavani for the shot, and it was good defending. It was from an angle, the corner of the 6-yard box, maybe 8 yards out, and in the end it was easy for Mohamed Al-Awais after some good defending. But Uruguay looking threatening virtually every time they go anywhere near the Saudi Arabia goal.
Yeah, it comes from a loose ball from Saudi Arabia's defender, plays it into the middle. Uruguay on top of it straight away. It's a lovely threaded ball to Suarez, and he flicks it round the corner for Cavani. And Cavani and Suarez look sharp. The other day they didn't look like they were enjoying playing with each other. Today they're linking up well. We're seeing Cavani more central, where I like him. You seen the other day that he's playing wide left, and he doesn't suit that role at all. Get the two of them playing up top and gelling together.
Here's Salim Al-Dosawi, the 26-year-old, and I wonder how Saudi Arabia will react to this early blow, bearing in mind what happened the other day. And it's a long-range effort with the left foot, which is palmed over the bar by Muslera, and that was heading into the top corner. A terrific effort, and it's a corner kick to Saudi Arabia. Hatem Bahrebi with a fizzing left footer.
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? A response straight away from your forward line to try and build a little bit of confidence. But you're right in what you say, Arlo. It's how they respond to this now.
Corner from the Saudi right is taken low, and it's cleared immediately beyond the near post by the bald-headed Carlos Sanchez, a muscular, squat figure. Sanchez, who now plays his football in Mexico with Monterrey. Still on the edge of the penalty area now, and it's Sanchez who got in there with the clearance again before a Saudi striker could get a shot away, and they've given the ball away here, Otaif, but then he does well to win it back, and Saudi Arabia can build again into that Uruguayan half. 1-0 to Uruguay, 26 minutes on the clock. The World Cup brought to you, of course, here on 5 Live. One more game to come today. 7 o'clock, Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton with Iran against Spain, so stay tuned for that. Long ball to the right hand side by Al-Dassawi. Low cross into the area. Has that taken a deflection off a Uruguayan defender? No, it's not. It's gone behind, and it's a Uruguay goal kick. So Luis Suarez with his 52nd international goal, and I think there was the nearest of flick-ons here from Jimenez, but his eyes were sharp there, Luis Suarez, peering at the ball. We're taking a look at the replay now. It might have just also come off the fingertips of the goalkeeper as well, and there's someone in the crowd with a Luis Suarez cutout, baring his teeth, but behind a smile. Yeah, in the cardboard cutout, and he's got his goal. Uruguay ahead, and at the moment heading to the knockout stages, but they'll feel that they need to pad this lead perhaps to feel more comfortable before they can maybe start to give some players a breather before that final group game against Russia.
The changes that Uruguay have made in the wide areas have made a massive difference. The two wide players look so lively, and they're in for play when they come in off the line. The 1-2s that they're playing, the little round the corners, they look so lively, and it helps Suarez and Cavani to know that they've got that option, that they see them passes so that they can make the runs that they'd usually want to make.
Bahrebi inside right, rolls it out to his fullback Al-Break. Bahrebi again, right corner of the penalty area. Long-ranging diagonal ball out to the left for Al-Sharani, who loves to get forward on that left-hand side from left-back. There's a hanging cross. It's a decent cross as well, and the chance on the back post for Bahrebi. It dropped on the half-volley, edge of the 6-yard box, and he's blazed it over the crossbar, but this is much better from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's a lovely cross into the box, a flighted ball in, and they just switch off at the back post, and you can see Jimenez, he's going ballistic at Caceres because he's switched off. He thinks he's got it, and he doesn't win the header, and he just nicks in front of him. His body position's all wrong. He needs to open up his body to see the winger wide man coming in so he can at least block him or get to the ball earlier.
Well, he came on as a late sub against the Russians, Hatem Bahrebi of the Al-Shabaab club. He hasn't scored an international goal. He's come close twice here against Uruguay at the World Cup. Forced a save out of Muslera from that long-range effort, and then perhaps should have done better, having just nipped in front of Caceres, as Stephen mentioned, at the far post. It was a terrific cross as well from Al-Sharani, who may be the pick of the Saudi players so far in the tournament.
Yeah,
and it is slim picking so far, isn't it?
It is, but he does look lively. He does look like the one who's he's taking it by the scruff of the neck, and he feels that, well, I'm at a World Cup, I want to showcase myself and have a go, because you don't know, well, we know who's watching, the world are watching, but you don't know who's looking at you and thinking, yeah, I'd take a chance on him.
Well, he featured on the cover of the Middle Eastern version of the FIFA computer game in 2016, so he's a player of high repute in that part of the world, and he's, I think, in a very difficult circumstance. He's doing himself no harm here on the world stage. Saudi Arabians have responded well. Here's Salam Al-Dassawi out towards Al-Sharani again, who's always available on that left-hand side, and Carlos Sanchez came in with a very heavy challenge. It looked like a foul to begin with, but the French referee had a good view of it. Then there's a heavy challenge by Otaif that goes unpunished. He's allowing the play to flow here, the French referee. Uruguayan player is still down. I think it's Vecino, and in the end, sportingly, a Saudi player kicks it out of play, Tassir Al-Jassam. Or is it Cavani who's on the floor?
Cavani who's down.
There could have been two fouls there. This is the second of them by Otaif on Cavani. What do you think here, Stephen? Is that a foul?
He gets the ball, but he does follow through a tiny bit on Cavani's ankle. In my eyes, A good tackle.
Defenders union and all that.
Yeah, you're letting them know you're in the game. I think it's one thing we've said about Saudi Arabia is they look very fragile in the tackles and the size of the players. There's no real powerhouses within the team, so you've got to leave your foot in another way and let them know that you're in a game. One thing I have noticed about Saudi Arabia, since the goal's gone in, they've pushed the fullbacks really high, and you're thinking, you got beat 5-0 in your last game after you went down a goal, so be careful, because you can build yourself back into a game slowly. You don't have to get back in it straight away, and they're going to leave spaces down the side, and with the likes of Suarez and Cavani's running power, you expect them to find spaces down the fullbacks, in behind the fullbacks from now on.
Cavani's back on his feet, plays back underway, 32nd minute, Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 0. If you're just getting into your cars on the way home from work or listening in the kitchen, wherever you may be, the World Cup on 5 Live, Luis Suarez with the only goal of the game so far. But as Stephen says, the Saudis have responded pretty well since the goal, and the long ball forward from Al-Break is straight to the chest of Jimenez. He leaves it then to Caceres, which gave Berebi just a little hint, a little sniff of possession, and that forced a hurried clearance and a Saudi Arabia throw on the right-hand side. And here they are through Abdullah Otaif, and now Salem Al-Dassawi out to Yasser Al-Shorani on that left-hand side. Dassawi with a square ball to the right touchline to Al-Break. He's back now with Osama Housawi, the one Housawi who survived the cull, the 4 changes made from that initial defeat to Russia. His partner was dropped, and it's patient progress and patient possession for Saudi Arabia. And we heard Guillaume Balaguy in Red Square with Kelly Cates before the game talking about the future or lack thereof for Juan Antonio Pizzi after this tournament. He failed to get Chile to the World Cup finals, and just to give you an idea of the turmoil and turnover in that hot seat in Saudi Arabia, he was the 40th coach in 30 years.
Wow.
So longevity is not the key word when it comes to managerial appointments in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He was the 3rd coach in 2 months. Here come Saudi Arabia towards the edge of the penalty area. Otaif, there's space on the right-hand side here for Al-Break. Into the area he goes to Mawalad. Mawalad with a decent turn against Godin, and Godin does well to get back. Then a low cross comes in towards Barebi, edge of the area. A chance of a shot for Otaif. He didn't take it. Tried a couple of dummies, and that allowed Rodrigo Bentancur to regain his balance and regain possession. But good spell again for Saudi Arabia, and some hurried defending from the Uruguayans. It's just sent long into no man's land, and Saudi Arabia have possession again inside their own half.
Shoot. I don't understand it. The ball comes back to him. It's a first-time shot. Take the shot on, and you don't know where it goes. You only have to look at the Russia game last night. Take a shot, takes a deflection, goal, you're back in the game.
Or tidy build-up here from Saudi Arabia, but I think in the end there's going to be a free kick given against them right in the middle of the field, halfway inside the Uruguayan half. Vecino's gone tumbling again under the challenge from Salem Al-Dassawi. The move has broken down, and Uruguay have themselves a free kick.
Yeah, it's a late tackle. He's scissored round his ankle, and he's lucky that he's actually got his ankle out the way and free there, because they're the nasty ones that can snap the ligaments in your ankle and ruin your tournament.
Well, Juan Antonio Pizzi did say after the game against the Russians, we're feeling the shame, and they were widely criticised by their own FA and their own sports departments, governmental sports departments. But he says we're being very critical towards ourselves. We're not happy with what we did in our first match. We want to change the impression that people have. They're certainly snapping into tackles with more ferocity than they did against the Russians last Thursday. Here come Uruguay though down the left-hand side. A rare foray into Saudi Arabian territory over the last 15 minutes or so since the Luis Suarez goal. 35 minutes gone. Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 0. World Cup Group A here on 5 Live.
It's typical of the way the Uruguayans play though. Get themselves in front and know defensively that they're capable of holding on to that lead. They're not your Spain, your Germany who retain possession and keep the ball for fun. They play a very rigid 4-4-2, and they stick within that shape and they drop off. You'd expect them to be on the ball more often, but they just don't do that.
Lovely ball out to the left-hand side, finds Al-Dasawi. He gets it back from Al-Shirani, and there might be a foul 10 yards outside the penalty area. The referee says no, it's on the right-hand side without break, and he thumps a cross that's gone over everybody, and the whistles you can hear might be from Saudi fans around the Rostov arena who wanted a free kick in a very dangerous position just outside the Uruguayan half.
It's poor from Al-Break again. That's the second cross he's actually tried to put in the game, and it's been poor quality. And you just wonder whether they change the fullbacks over. Al-Shawani can play at right back, and you wonder whether they might go for that change in the second half to try and get a little bit more quality into the box when they do get in them areas.
This is good play by Uruguay. The flick by Suarez to Rodriguez, and it goes towards Cavani, but it's cut off at that near post, and that was more threatening from the South Americans, but it's broken down, and Saudi Arabia looking to counter-attack again, but the challenge goes in from Caceres, and he stays on the ground after the tackle comes in from Hatem Bahrebi, and it's the upshot is a throw-in to Saudi Arabia inside their own half on the right-hand side, with 8 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in this first half in a glorious-looking Rostov arena.
We see Uruguay's quality there. When the ball goes into Suarez, there's runners off him and there's movement. With Saudi Arabia, everything's to feet. There's no movement in behind and no one stretching anyone to hurt the Uruguayan defence.
Al-Dasawi's going to have a go from range, fully 35 yards. The whistles around the stadium tell you that didn't go into the back of the net. Never looked like it was at least 15 yards over the top of the crossbar, and it's a goal kick to Uruguay.
He enjoyed it though. He had a big smile on his face afterwards, didn't he?
Well, he joined Villarreal on loan in January, Al-Dasawi, one of 9 players as part of that deal with the Saudi FA and La Liga. The problem is that barely any of them, this was intended to increase the competition, to get them good games and good competition before the World Cup, but barely any of them got any games. Saudi fans were furious on social media that it took almost 5 months for Al-Dasawi to make his debut, and on the final day of the season he came on for the final 30 minutes against Real Madrid, and good for him, they were 2-0 down. Bale and Ronaldo scored, and he helped set up the goal to go 2-1, and it ended 2-2, but that was the last game of the season, and he wasn't able to build on that in La Liga.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it, when you send them players, but you're sending them to a top European team, and that's not being disrespectful to them players, but you have to earn a right to play at clubs like that. And it's obviously hampered the form coming into the World Cup as well.
Why not a second division side or something just to get more game time? I think the dollar signs or the euro signs were in the eyes of some of those clubs wanting to expand their fan bases into the Middle East, but it hasn't done the players and the national team really in the grand scheme of things any good at all. But here's Saudi Arabia once again through Hatem Bahrebi in the Uruguay half on the right hand side. The ball over the top looking for Mawalad in the penalty area. He just slips at the crucial moment, and that allows Jimenez to get a challenge in. He looks like a tidy forward, Fahad Al-Mawalad, when he gets the ball to his feet.
Well, that's the first time he's run in behind, really. Stretched them and gone in behind. It was a lovely floated ball over the top, but as you say, just slipped at the critical moment.
Saudi Arabia have the ball back. Here's the centre-back Al-Balahi. Into the midfield he goes. Now it's Al-Dasawi. Possibility here for a long-range effort on the edge of the penalty area. There's an awkward fall and I think a hamstring injury in the D for a Saudi attacking player, and that's an excellent challenge by Balahi on Luis Suarez, who just gets up, and they went chest to chest, the two that had words a few minutes ago as well. No question that it was a foul. It was a wonderful piece of defending. The ball straight out for a Uruguayan throw-in, and that's going to allow the Saudi player, who is lying in a great deal of pain on the edge of the penalty area, Tassir Al-Jassam, who made that break towards the penalty area, then crumpled in a heap and immediately felt the back of his left leg.
He just overstretches, and it looks like a hamstring injury straight away. He holds it straight away. He just feints the shot, tries to drag it onto his left foot, takes a too big of a touch and stretches out, and you can see him hold his hamstring straight away.
His right hand went straight into the air, didn't it? And then across his eyes. in a mixture of pain and I would imagine abject disappointment, if indeed that is a hamstring injury, because you don't run those ones off, Stephen, do you?
No, you don't at all. But just going back to the tackle on Luis Suarez there from Ali Al-Bulhahi, it looks like he's trying to wind Suarez up. He wants a reaction. He's talking to him, he's biting into tackles, he's trying to rough him up, and I think they're expecting Suarez to have a go back and maybe cause a bit of confrontation with him.
There was just the flicker of a reaction from Suarez that time. He leapt to his feet quickly. It was a brilliant tackle that went out of play, ball-winning challenge, but it was physical.
It was, yeah. But we saw him give a slight reaction in the game the other day. Towards the end, someone tackled him, he jumps up, he's pushing into them. He has got it in him. He's a fiery character, and that was the first time I saw it in the game the other day, and that's what we love about him. He lives on the edge, and that's what makes him such a good player.
We're just seeing a replay of that incident now. Well, Bulhahi actually just stuck out a leg as well.
It's the other way round, isn't it?
Yeah, he was the aggressor in that situation, and now we've seen the replay. Yes, he did leap to his feet very quickly there, Luis Suarez, but he did turn away. He didn't react, he didn't retaliate. So we're playing on with Saudi Arabia momentarily down to 10 men. Taseer Al-Jassam has walked off the field limping heavily with the left leg of his short pulled right up, and it looks like his day is done, and Juan Antonio Pizzi will have to bring on the first substitute of the game. But it looks like Al-Jassam is going to come back on for a moment. If it is a hamstring injury, that surprises me very much indeed. Let's see what happens. Maybe he's there to make up the numbers for a couple of seconds while the substitution is prepared. Ball won in the midfield by Bentancur, then Vecino forward. Cavani, back to Vecino. Cavani again inside the penalty area. Round one challenge. And then Saudi Arabia able to get the ball clear. And as far as Jimenez, to the right-hand side, we haven't seen much of Varela, who got forward a lot on that right-hand side against Egypt. The crossing from Sanchez, and it's headed clear to the left-hand side for Saudi Arabia as far as Salem Al-Dassawi. 1-0, Uruguay lead, 2 minutes remaining, just less than of this first half in Group A. Al-Jassam did come onto the field, but now he's going to hobble off, and the substitution is being made. And it looks like Hussein Al-Magwahi, the 30-year-old from Al-Ali, is coming on to replace him. He didn't feature against the Russians. He didn't feature in the third round of qualifying under Bert van Marwijk, who left his job having got Saudi Arabia to the finals. Now is in charge of Australia, but he returned under Juan Antonio Pizzi, and now he's getting his first taste of World Cup action as a first-half substitute. We await the ball to tell us how much time will be added on at the end of this first half. We've had a couple of injuries that may add a couple of minutes or so. Pizzi in his technical area with his grey suit, white shirt and green tie, his hair slicked back. He was the starting striker for Spain at Euro 96 and France 98. Born in Argentina. That attack has broken down for Saudi Arabia. It's left Hatem Bahrebi on the floor, slapping his thigh in disappointment. And Uruguay look happy just to calmly bring the ball out with this 1-goal lead and heading into half-time, when we'll send it back to Red Square with Kelly Cates and the team here on 5 Live. Here's Varela, 5 yards inside the Uruguay half on the right-hand side for the team in light blue. Back he goes to Jimenez. Now Godin, earning his 119th cap today. Sanchez on the right. Back he goes to Varela. They're waiting for the half-time whistle, it appears here. We'll have 2 minutes of time added on, and we've entered that now. Godin. There is time here for Uruguay if they can have the desire to create an attack here. But now Saudi Arabia can bring it clear into the midfield. Advantage being played after the foul on the halfway line. The ball goes through towards Al-Muwalla. Now was he fouled? He was sent tumbling by Godin. The ball was perhaps too far ahead of him. Muslera gathered it cleanly, but there was certainly contact between Godin and Muwalla as they entered the penalty area.
Fantastic defending from Godin. Just sees the run, ushers him out of the way, uses all his experience. The ball's played too early for the striker, and Godin just gets across him, shoulder to shoulder, sticks him on the floor. More strength,
He went flying, El Mawalad, as you would do if Godin sticks in a shoulder like that.
He's an absolute beast of a defender. He's great to watch. He just loves defending, and he's so good at it. I couldn't agree more with Martin Keown the other day. I thought he was exceptional.
The latest Saudi Arabia attack breaks down, and here's Edinson Cavani, who's at least 20 yards inside his own half, dropping deep just to find the game, to gain some possession.
He's so unselfish the way he plays, Cavani, for his national team. Paris Saint-Germain, he stands up front and he doesn't really come out of the area of sort of the central striker role. For Uruguay, I've never seen a work rate like it. He plays with such pride for his shirt that he'll do any job you ask of him.
Time ticking down towards half-time in the Rostov Arena. Here's Bentancur with his yellow and black boots. Takes possession back from Caceres. Forward he goes. It takes a deflection and bounces kindly from a Saudi Arabia point of view for Al Break. He thumps it down the line into the Uruguay half. It's a towering header by Godin once again, but Saudi Arabia have the ball through Al Dassawi, and our French referee Clément Turpin blows for half-time. An interesting half. Uruguay perhaps deserving their lead. Luis Suarez scoring the only goal on his 100th appearance. But Saudi Arabia at least have a foothold in the game and something to build on for the second half, Stephen Warnock.
Well, they're still in the game. That's the important thing going into half-time. They've not been blown out the water and blown away. They reacted very well to going behind. It's not been an exceptional performance from Uruguay, but they're a goal ahead and they look very good for it.
So, Kelly, half-time in Rostov. Uruguay, as it stands, heading to the knockout phase. Saudi Arabia heading out of the World Cup. But 45 minutes to come. Suarez with the only goal so far. Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 0. Thank you very much indeed. Back in Rostov. The second half about to get underway. Oscar Tabarez, the Uruguay manager, said after they won their opening game against Egypt, the first time since 1970, we've broken the spell. They are 45 minutes away from winning their opening 2 games for the first time since 1954, and the omens are good. Their form is good. 4 wins in a row, including warm-up games without conceding a goal. Both teams are back out on the field now, but for Saudi Arabia, the omens aren't great. They won a game against Belgium in France 98 by 1-0. They qualified for the knockout stages, but since then, no wins in 11 World Cup games, 8 defeats in that time. They've now scored 5, conceded 35 in those games. So they need something very, very special to occur, Stephen Warnock, to at least either draw level or keep themselves in the tournament here against Uruguay.
Sounds like you've just ended all their hopes and dreams there. Yeah, they need something special, because this is a resolute and very resilient Uruguay team that's been put together. There's a lot of smiles coming out on the faces of Cavani, Suarez as they walk out there. They'll feel very confident coming into the second half. Saudi Arabia, what do they need to do? They need to get some shots on goal, that's for sure, because so far they've had 1 shot on goal that's really tested the goalkeeper. Apart from that, it's all been in front of the defence and not really hurt the Uruguayan defenders.
Early goal kick for Saudi Arabia, which will be taken by their goalkeeper Mohamed Al-Owais, who, as Chris Sutton pointed out, and yourself as well in the first half, was at fault perhaps for that Luis Suarez goal that separates the sides. Uruguay kicking from right to left in their light blue shirts, black shorts, black socks, and Saudi Arabia in an all-white changed kit from their opening thrashing at the hands of Russia. They are kicking from left to right, and they're in possession through Abdullah Otaif. Wide to the left-hand side, it goes to Yasser Al-Sharani, who has been impressive in the World Cup so far, not just the first half, in an attacking sense particularly. Defensively, the Saudis haven't been on great form, conceding 6 so far, and they've yet to score a goal at Russia 2018. Otaif turns away from Bentancur. On the left-hand touchline is a lovely flick by Al-Sharani down the line, and then Varela gets involved. I think that ball has gone out for a corner kick, and indeed it has. It's the assistant on the near side who flags for it, and Saudi Arabia have an early corner here in the second half, trailing Uruguay on 5 live by 1-0.
That's more positive straight away from Saudi Arabia. They get in behind the right full-back of Uruguay, and leads to a corner. First half, the delivery wasn't good enough from corners. This is an opportunity to get back in the game. Make sure your delivery is right, make sure the quality is right, and they take a short corner.
Yep, they've taken it short, and here's across to the back post, and it's headed out by Bentancur, by Rebi with that cross, and now it's Al Mugwi, and the ball in is low from Al Break, and it's cleared by Cavani, who was back defending, helping out with that set piece. Well, with all the talk with Guillem as well at half-time about set pieces, you'd think when Saudi Arabia do get one, they'd be keen to get the ball in the penalty area as swiftly as they can.
Well, possibly, but then you can look at it in a different way and think, well, this is a big, strong Uruguayan team.
Away goes Al Muwallad into the penalty area, but the whistle blows, the flag is up, and he's offside.
And you think, yes, we play short, but it's got to be something that's creative, that really catches Uruguay off guard, because these are great defenders for Uruguay, so you've got to do something special. But again, it was poor from Saudi Arabia.
Here's Al Break, the right back, 30 years of age, and he goes all the way back to his goalkeeper Mohamed Al-Awais, and he thumps it under a little bit of pressure, but nothing great from Cavani, straight out of play. And Juan Antonio Pizzi is apoplectic. He's come to the edge of his technical area. He's been instructed by the fourth official to go back. He's actually gone into the opposition half of the field. He's almost in the Uruguayan technical area. He was raging, his eyes and veins were bulging, and he was screaming, I think, at the goalkeeper for that errant clearance out of play for a Uruguay throw-in. But Saudi Arabia have the ball on their left-hand side, but it is a throw to Uruguay. And you think Al-Faraj thought he was fouled. The French referee says no, Clément Turpin, who was actually in charge of Arsenal's first leg of their Europa League semi-finals against Atletico in April. So he's used to the big stage, also in charge of the second leg of the Champions League semi-final when Roma came back and beat Barcelona. 36 years of age, highly rated. It's a ball from Suarez looking over the top towards Cavani, and then there's a foul on Carlos Sanchez and a free kick in a dangerous area for Uruguay, attacking that goal away to our left-hand side.
Actually think he's refereed the game really well. Some of the referees have been quite quick to put their whistle to the lips in this World Cup so far, but for me, every decision that he's made today, he's got it right. He's let the game flow, and that's what we want in a game of football.
The foul was by Salman Al-Faraj, who argued his case, but having seen the replay, I think the evidence against him was fairly unanimous.
Yeah, kicking someone in the hip is usually a foul in any country.
Luis Suarez in conversation with a teammate. It's about 10 yards, maybe a tad more outside the penalty area, and it's almost level as Suarez looks at this with the right hand post, the goalkeeper's left, and he's slapping the post, Al-Awais, to get a message through to his four-man wall. But here's Luis Suarez peering at the ball, a bearded figure, black hair slicked back. He's got one goal already. He's just standing legs astride, and he approaches the ball now. Suarez he takes a deflection, and it's punched away by the goalkeeper Al-Awais, not taking any chances that time. He was diving, the ball was about a yard or two off the ground, but he punched it away anyway.
Suarez is actually calling for handball. He's looking and saying he's handled it. It has actually come off the arm of the defender, but there's nothing he can do about that.
On the edge of the wall, it's Salman who gave away the free kick initially, and he jumped and turned his back, and it did come off his elbow. What do you think there, Stephen?
Arms are at his side. They've not really outstretched and tried to stop the ball going that way, have they? So no penalty for me. I think Suarez is just clutching at straws there.
Saudi Arabia in possession. Here's Al-Magawi, but he's given the ball away. And here's Bentancur striding forward. Suarez into the penalty area, tried to go through the legs of the defender Al-Balehi. Al-Balehi goes to ground, looked a little easily under the challenge from Luis Suarez. Suarez is going to raise his palms to the heavens and look like an innocent child, of course, but he'd do that anyway. Let's take a look at the replay here. He put his hands on his back. I wouldn't have said that. So you're the professional, Stephen, or the former professional. Do you think it was a free kick?
No, it's not for me. I think the defenders felt him, put his arms on his back, and he's just bought the free kick. But just looking at Bentancur in midfield, his pressing is fantastic. His anticipation and reading of the game to nick in front of players and set the attacks up for Uruguay has been first class today.
Uruguay still lead Saudi Arabia by a 0-0 at the Rostov Arena. 52 minutes gone. Remember, if Uruguay win, they will seal qualification and play off for first or second in the group, with the host Russia in their final group game. The cross into the Uruguayan penalty area, and the header from Albrek, who got forward, loops towards the 6-yard box, but Muslera is able to gather that under no great pressure. And it would mean that Saudi Arabia and Egypt would play effectively a dead game in the final game of Group A. But all the games next week, the final group games, all kick off at the same time, of course. And the ball is back with Mohamed Al-Awais, who with Pizz's shouting still ringing in his ears, then sends a ball directly out of play on the far side, so he may want to stick in some earplugs.
I think he'll be looking the other way just to make sure he doesn't get eye contact that time.
Here's Godin with the captain's armband tightly around his left bicep, a bright yellow armband. Ball is out on the near side for a Saudi Arabia throw-in. Albrek, who was the first choice right back for Al Hilal, who won the Saudi Pro League last season. And here comes Saudi Arabia. Al Magawi through the middle to Al Dasawi, and it could be and should be offside. Here it is against Fahad Al Muwallad, and that's the second offside call against him in the last 5 minutes.
Well, he shouldn't be offside. He's looking right along the line, and he can see, and he sets off so early. I think he wants the pass played a little bit earlier, but even still, he should not be offside in that position.
He's got 10 international goals, Al Muwallad, and he scored the goal that beat Japan in their final qualifier to reach Russia 2018. It consigned Australia to 4 more games. I'm on duty tomorrow for Australia against Denmark. The Aussies, the Socceroos, had 22 qualifiers and travelled 155,000 miles to get to Russia 2018.
Wow.
Perhaps slightly unlucky to lose their opener against France, but it meant that Saudi Arabia, with that victory on the final day of qualifying, secured automatic qualification, and Australia missed out on goal difference. They had to play Syria over 2 legs and then Honduras over 2 legs, but they made it eventually. Here's Varela facing his own goal on the right defensive area for Uruguay. Now there's a bit of space in the midfield. The ball forward towards Suarez. It's another physical battle, this time with Housawi, the other centre-back. Luis Suarez goes to ground. There's no free kick. A diagonal ball towards the corner, the right corner of the Saudi Arabia penalty area. Rodriguez is in pursuit of that one, and it's another untidy clearance. Well, he's famed for his distribution, Al-Awais, and that's 3 in a row that have gone straight out of play. A rueful look over towards the bench, chewing his gum there, Mohamed Al-Awais, and this one could cause more problems for Saudi Arabia because it's level with inside his own penalty area, and Caceres will take it.
So is he famed for his good distribution or his poor distribution?
Well, it says in his scouting report, good distribution.
Right, okay.
That may have to be altered after this performance. Into the area goes from Rodriguez. Otafe with the clearance. Well, he was trying to find a teammate and failed to do so. So Bentancur, he is challenged. A little shriek from him, but play on. And it's Godin, and we saw a couple of runs down the left wing from him against Egypt, but this time he's dispossessed. And it's a Saudi Arabia ball. It's either a free kick or a throw-in. Free kick, I think. Just inside the touchline on the Saudi Arabia right-hand side. And it remains 1-0 to Uruguay. 10 minutes into the second half, here in Group A in Rostov, in a stadium, brand new stadium that was at one point 7 months behind schedule. And double shifts were organised by the local organising committee. It actually eventually opened then in late April. Rostov FC have themselves a gleaming new home. Al Muwallad is offside again, and Uruguay have themselves a free kick inside their own half of play. And Tabarez is giving instructions to Diego Laxalt, who could be coming into the game momentarily. Here's Bentancur, Vecino, just inside the Saudi Arabia half, on the right-hand side. A dark blue strip down the centre of Vecino's light blue shirt. is Godin, right on the halfway line, into the centre circle to Bentancur. He's got some space to find a teammate. He does. It's a poor first touch from Suarez. Showed too much of that to Bahrebi. And it's Saudi Arabia who could bring the ball clear, but they can't find a teammate, and in the end it's a throw-in right on the halfway line on the right-hand side, taken quickly by the former Manchester United man Guillermo Varela. And here is Bentancur again, Vecino inside of him, number 15, the tall, rangy figure. There's plenty of height in the centre of the park for Uruguay. Not a lot of urgency to get the ball forward at the moment from the South Americans. Vecino again, he goes forward diagonally out to the left-hand side. That's better. Rodriguez nods it into the penalty area. Caceres was forward, battling for the ball, but it's cleared down the Saudi right-hand side, only as far as Godin, who's decided to have a go as an auxiliary midfielder in the last few minutes. But now he's out of position, and Sanchez is claiming for a handball, and the whistle eventually does blow, and then the Saudi player thumps it out of play. Salem Al-Dassawi. That was an odd passage of play, because if anything that could be a yellow card for the Saudi player, couldn't it? It doesn't appear to be an injury on the field. There's going to be a double switch in the meantime for the Uruguayans. Laxalt and Torreira are going to come into the game. Christian Rodriguez is one of those to make way. In fact, no, it is Diego Laxalt of Genoa, number 17, excuse me. And then Lucas Torreira comes in for Vecino. So Laxalt, you'd expect, would go wide, and then Torreira, a like-for-like switch over Vecino in the centre of the park. Torreira is interesting Arsenal, according to reports. £26 million, a holding midfielder, only 5'6", N'Golo Kanté-esque in his style, currently with Sampdoria, so he's getting an outing for the second time off the bench in the World Cup, and it remains 1-0 to Uruguay as we approach the hour mark.
I wonder what odds you'd have got before the tournament to say 2 games in that none of the Uruguay team would have been booked. Because they're such a competitive team, and the players within them, Godin, Suarez, and you just think the physicality that they've got, but I'm very surprised at that.
From Saudi Arabia, chipped into the penalty area, is too far for Molawad, and it's harmlessly behind for a goal kick. In answer to your question, 1,000 to 1.
Really?
I'm old enough to remember the 1986 Uruguay side.
Very competitive.
Competitive is one word for it, yes. As,
what were you going to say?
The Scotland team. What time is it? No, 5:15. 5:15, excuse me. There's Laxalt with his first touch, and it's a header towards the feet of Suarez. That's a delightful ball out to the right-hand side, and Carlos Sanchez. The curling ball comes in. Here's a chance, and it's excellent defending by Housawi, just to get there ahead of a diving, sliding Edinson Cavani. He was inches away from making it 2.
Well, what a move from Uruguay. Suarez's ball out to the right-hand side, a crossfield half volley into Sanchez's feet, and Sanchez just delivers a beautiful ball in behind, curls it in behind defence, and Cavani's just inches away from getting his foot on the end of it and making it 2-0. But good defending from Saudi Arabia.
And they're still in the game, and they're still in the World Cup. But they need to produce something in the final half an hour here against Uruguay in Rostov.
But you just wonder before the game, is this a good result for the Saudi players? After getting a thumping 5-0, and they're thinking, let's just get a little bit of respect back and find our feet.
Break with the cross, Jimenez with the clearance, sent into the air by Cavani. He tries to bring it down, Luis Suarez, but then Housawi gets a challenge in, and Suarez now clutching the lower part of his right leg. The free kick has been taken quickly, despite the fact that Suarez is down injured. Cavani's going to have to wait for his teammates here. He's in a stationary position on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Then the cross goes in towards Carlos Sanchez on the back post. It was pinpoint in its accuracy. He stooped with the header there, Carlos Sanchez, and sent the ball high over the crossbar, and that was a chance to double their advantage for Uruguay.
Well, that deserved a goal. It was a fantastic break, long ball into the wide left channel. Cavani just slows the game down. You can see Sanchez arriving the back post, delivers a ball in, and he has to score because it deserved it from the cross, and he puts it over. How has he missed that?
On his knees with his head in his hands, Carlos Sanchez, a player who actually played first team football for a decade before being called up, but he's been in every squad for Oscar Tabarez since November 2014, one of the veteran players in this side.
He's been really positive in everything he's done. He's been exceptional today, apart from his miss.
Now, can Uruguay give themselves some breathing space? They've missed an absolute sitter there through Sanchez, but they have the ball in the centre of midfield through Bentancur. Now he goes all the way back to Godin. On the halfway line is Jose Jimenez. Here's Lucas Torreira, and the back flick from Sanchez looking for Luis Suarez, but straight into the midriff of Yasser Al-Sharani. They're trying to play the ball out here, Saudi Arabia. That's dangerous. And Luis Suarez takes possession, and he's going to do well here, the defender, to not concede the corner. Suarez sits up nicely for him, just inside the penalty area. From an angle, the shot was blocked, and now Saudi Arabia can bring it clear, but their possession doesn't last long. Here's Jimenez, striding down the centre of the park, the centre-back. Now Sanchez, who had that chance just a few moments ago, switches it to his left foot. It's an excellent challenge by Al-Sharani. It's left Sanchez on the floor, and it's a belated call for a free kick. The cross took a deflection. It was repelled on the edge of the penalty area. Sanchez is still on the ground, peering around at the referee. He took his time to give that decision, but in the end has awarded Uruguay a free kick.
Yeah, he just cuts back in on his left foot, and the defender, the Saudi Arabian defender, just leaves a little bit on him. I think it's more of a follow-through from Sanchez, and he's bought that free kick, to be honest with you, because Saudi Arabian player never goes to ground. A slight contact, but doesn't warrant the rolling round on the floor.
Well, it's a free kick from a similar area in the 89th minute that Sanchez, who came on as a substitute against Egypt in the first game, put perfectly onto the forehead of Jimenez. He was forward from centre-back, and he's forward again. Got his shirt up halfway up his torso at the moment, Jimenez, hiding his number on his back. He's alongside Godin on the edge of the penalty area. Saudi Arabia defending exactly on the edge of the penalty area, and Carlos Sanchez can't deliver this time. He hits the one-man wall, but he can get the ball back momentarily, but then he's muscled out of it by Salim Al-Dosawi, who's now on a scamper into Uruguayan territory. Super play from him. Al-Muwallad then runs into Jimenez, retains possession, spins away down the left-hand side. Is he fouled by Jimenez on the side of the penalty area? Yes, he is. And it's a free kick to Saudi Arabia. And here's a chance.
He's so dangerous when he gets the ball and running at people, isn't he? You see him getting one-on-one, and he's so confident with his turn and pace. He knows he's going to beat him, and he just buys a clever free kick for his team. This is where we want quality now in the box. This is a chance to get yourselves back in the game.
5 yards or so outside the side of the penalty area on the Saudi Arabia left-hand side, and their big men are forward. But as Stephen mentioned before, after that short corner, there are plenty of big men back at the heart of that Uruguayan defence as well. So what will they produce here, Saudi Arabia? Trailing after 65 minutes by 1-0. Bahrebi, with his sleeves over his hands and his pristine white shirt, shorts and socks and boots to match. He could curl it in right-footed. A scratch of the nose. Two-man wall for Uruguay. Sanchez is one of them, Varela the other. They've got men at the back post here, Saudi Arabia. One of them is Osama Al-Sawi. In it goes, needs a flick. It didn't get it, and it got a meaty header clear from a Uruguayan defender, and the ball's out on the far side from where it came from for a throw-in.
It's a fantastic header from Suarez in that position, because that's such a vital position when you're defending them balls. It's fizzed in towards the goalkeeper. It's an in-swinging ball, and if he doesn't get that, it's a simple header for the Saudi Arabian forward.
Throwing came to nothing, and in the end it's Muslera, the goalkeeper, who sends a goal kick forward to Suarez, who's on the corner of the penalty area, and it's tit for tat for free kicks here. It's Uruguay's turn. This is closer to goal, just a yard or two in from the corner of the penalty area, and a possibility for some good service, or maybe even a shot. We saw Colombia score a super free kick from a similar area going underneath the wall yesterday.
I think it's just that little bit wide, too far wide to having a shot at goal, but you see Suarez walking away from it now, but he's such a danger, isn't he, Suarez, when he runs at people. He had 3 Saudi Arabian players round him, then he just skips through a couple of them and buys a fantastic free kick again.
It'll be Carlos Sanchez again, right-footed, so it will curl away from Mohamed Al-Oaisi's goal. Godin is forward, Suarez hands on his knees, a yard outside the 6-yard box, with number 9 on his back. Laxalt on the edge of the penalty area. Cavani hands on hips near the penalty spot. Can Carlos Sanchez produce a better delivery akin to that he produced late on against Egypt with this free kick? It does beat the first man. In it goes, Caceres with a header, but it's over the top. And it's a goal kick.
It's a fantastic ball from Sanchez in again. Just delivers it. It's an out-swinging free kick into the box, and he should score. He's got his run on his man, Caceres, and it's a great opportunity. Puts it over the bar, but he should be scoring there and wrapping this game up for Uruguay.
Caceres has bounced around clubs after leaving Juventus with an Achilles injury. Had a 4-month loan spell at Southampton last season. Only made 1 substitute appearance in the Premier League. This season was split between Verona and Lazio before then. 31 years of age, the starting left-back for Uruguay so far in Russia 2018. Saudi Arabia just beginning to run out of time. 22 minutes remaining in Rostov. They trail to that Luis Suarez goal in the first half to Uruguay. Here's Al-Break on the right-hand side. Al-Magawi back to Otaif. The long ball into the penalty area is easy for Muslera. He goes to ground. I think there's been a foul on him. Maybe the foot was raised. He's rolling on the ground. Al-Magawi, after laying the ball off, had made a darting run into the penalty area. But the two shake hands, and it's going to be a free kick inside their own area for Uruguay.
Actually comes from Godin trying to nudge him out the way, and he actually pushes the striker into his own goalkeeper. So if he was going to get injured there, it would have been Godin's own fault.
Well, we haven't seen VAR rear its head so far in this one, thankfully. There's been a lot of very good decisions, and I think a lot of England fans may feel that it wasn't used when it could have been in the game against Tunisia the other night. Uruguay in possession, approaching the 70-minute mark in Rostov. Godin sends it all the way back to his goalkeeper Muslera. Here's his centre-back partner Jimenez. Wide on the right is Carlos Sanchez. Down the line it goes to Cavani, a lovely back heel looking for Sanchez, but that was good alert defending by Al-Break. And then Al-Oais sends it forward, stays in play this time, nodded forward by a Uruguayan defender. But what can Saudi Arabia launch here in terms of a threatening attack? They have possession just inside their own half. The game at walking pace at the moment.
I'm just wondering when they're going to actually go for this. Are they happy to sit in, and is the manager going to make some changes?
Al-Break forward on the right-hand side inside the penalty area. His low cross towards the near post, just cannoned into the Uruguayan left-back Caceres, but there was promise in that long diagonal ball in behind the left-back.
Well, that's when they've looked at the best, when they've stretched the game and they've had runners in behind, and they have looked dangerous at times, but it's just too tippy-tappy. It's so it's always in front of the Uruguay players and in front of the defenders. You've got to hurt them. You've got to make them be on their toes and think more. They just haven't had any of that, or enough of it, if you like. We saw it in small patches, but we need to see a couple of changes, I think, to freshen it up.
Otaif, long ball out to the left-hand side, sails harmlessly out of play. And I will be penning an email of thanks, Stephen, to whosever idea it was to put lime green numbers on the backs of bright white shirts for the Saudi Arabians, because that's really helped us.
Oh, it's been brilliant,
hasn't it?
Yeah.
We like that a lot.
I do like the kit though.
It is a nice
lovely kit.
And we have some darker numbers maybe for next time. Here comes Diego Laxalt out to the left-hand side, and Caceres. Laxalt's continued his run, the Genoa player, who's been a backup to Christian Rodriguez, 25 years of age. Came into the side in March. He played every minute of the China Cup, which of course involved Wales and China. Only played 16 minutes in qualifying, but here he is on the big stage now. Diego Laxalt, highly rated. Here's Caceres. That's a lovely curling cross. It's the left-hand punch from Alois that got it clear. And as far as Carlos Sanchez, is he fouled? As a little shove as the ball was going out of play from Al Dasawi. The referee's whistle goes. He says it was shoulder to shoulder. I'm not sure I agree with that, but the upshot is a throw-in. Uruguay lead Saudi Arabia. If you're just getting into your cars on the way back from work, by a 0-0. Luis Suarez earning his 100th cap, got his 52nd international goal in the first half. At 7 p.m. tonight, it's Iran against Spain in Kazan with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. And there was a challenge on the corner of the penalty area. Edison Cavani slaps the turf in frustration. His long locks splayed all over the place. It's no foul, it's a goal kick to Saudi Arabia. And don't forget to download the World Cup Daily, a new one available every morning. Tomorrow's has Mark Chapman talking to Hernan Crespo. And let's see if we can get some more downloads and take it above the Love Island podcast to #1 in the charts. You're looking at the...
I can't believe you've just said that.
Stephen.
Love Island. Oh, I don't even watch it.
The podcast is doing well. The World Cup Daily at the moment, #2. We can do better. Al Shanawi out on that left-hand side for Saudi Arabia. They've yet to force a serious save out of Muslera, save for that long-range effort in the first half from Bahrebri. Here he is on the ball on the right-hand side. Square ball across the penalty area. Al Break is available down the right. Here he is. Ball goes back to Al Dasawi, and it's slow, it's deliberate. Plenty of passes being stuck together, but they're not hurting Uruguay at the moment. And Juan Antonio Pizzi, knowing that this result will send them out of the World Cup with a game to spare, is about to make their second change, the first of which was forced in the first half because of a hamstring injury, and the ball is just sent out to play for a Uruguay throw.
Well, you can see Al Dasawi on the ball there, and he's saying to Al Break, go forward, make me make a pass in behind and make it difficult. And he just comes to the ball, and it's simple, and he keeps it, and it doesn't hurt Uruguay again.
So Hatem Bahrebi limps off slightly, and it's Mohamed Kano who comes on. Didn't feature against Russia, but as a rangy midfielder, 6'3" tall, scored his first international goal in a pre-tournament friendly win against Greece. Number 12 on his back, and he's onto the field now for the final 15 minutes or so in which Saudi Arabia are desperate for a goal. Cavani for Uruguay skips past the challenge of Cano, flicks it to Suarez, continues his run to that high ball from Suarez on the edge of the 6-yard box, but Mohamed Alois was off his line and caught it cleanly. But Uruguay have it back. Here's Varela, now Carlos Sanchez. The challenge came in from the left back Yasser Al-Sharani, and it's a free kick. Sanchez stays on the floor. Good initial control from him, then he stepped over the ball, and as the challenge came in, it inevitably went into Carlos Sanchez's left leg. And Oscar Tabarez, he's got his light blue shirt on, rolled up to his elbows, his dark blue tie, he's got his walking stick and his accreditation round his neck, salt and pepper grey hair, and he's waving furiously and telling his players what little tactical shift he might want to make here. El Maestro, 71 years of age, at his 4th World Cup, his 3rd in a row with Uruguay.
Well, I think he'll be very, very happy with what he's seeing. His team don't look under any real threat or pressure, and I think he's happy with what's going on the pitch. He'll just be saying pretty much, remember to keep your shape, doing what you're doing, and we'll be fine.
Uruguay have another free kick on their right-hand side, so a third attempt here in the last 10 minutes or so for Carlos Sanchez to send in a delivery. Saudi Arabia, their line is about a yard or so outside the penalty area, but they do collapse very quickly, and it makes its way to the back post, and the flag is up on the far side for offside. The initial ball went all the way through, so I think it was Caceres on the far side. He didn't get a shot on target, but the flag is raised anyway.
I think he actually blocked it. Godin actually blocks the shot, and he's offside. Caceres he's actually onside, and Godin's in the offside position and blocks the shot.
Good decision by the assistant on the far side. And
yeah, very good.
Final substitution being made here. A final roll of the dice by Juan Antonio Pizzi, and it's Mohamed Al Salawi that comes on in place of Al Mawalad. Al Salawi started as the striker, the only striker, the lone striker for Saudi Arabia in the opening game.
He was one of the ones called out, wasn't he?
He was, by the assistant of the Saudi FA, who's hinted at a penalty for 3 players for their performance in the first game when they return home. He's got an excellent strike rate in international football, Mohamed Al Salawi. 28 goals in 41 appearances. 8 of those came in 2 games against East Timor, one of the lowest ranked nations in the world. But his last international goal was over a year ago against Australia. If he can produce a goal here, he'll be a national hero, because it may keep Saudi Arabia in the World Cup and at least take it to their final game against Egypt. 12 minutes remaining at the Rostov Arena. Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 0. The goal coming in the first half from Luis Suarez. The World Cup on 5 Live. Torreira finds Sanchez in the centre circle. Is Godin. Now Bentancur. Caceres on the left-hand side. Chips it down the line towards Laxalt. A sliding challenge comes in from Otaif. Concedes the throw-in inside the depth of the penalty area on Uruguay's left-hand side.
Just look at Saudi Arabia's substitutions. They might not go with 2 up front. Really go for it. Do you want to stay in the World Cup and actually try and progress, or are you just happy to sort of amble along and get a little bit of pride?
Torreira with the shot, and it takes a deflection in the penalty area, and that was panic stations for Saudi Arabia, but it's gone narrowly wide. Mohamed El Awais was a spectator. I think Cavani was onside. He certainly was, and it was a yard or so wide to Awais' right-hand side. It was a fizzing effort from Torreira. I don't think it was on target, and then Cavani with a wry smile on his face almost got himself and Uruguay a bonus goal, but wide it went.
Some predatory instincts, isn't it, from Cavani? Some people would turn their back on that and expect it, don't want to get hit with it, but he's trying to angle it towards goal and catch the keeper off guard.
Another change will be made shortly for Uruguay. Hernandez is going to come into the game, who started against Egypt the other day. Uruguayans at the moment are comfortable, but they only lead by that single goal. Into the last 10 minutes we go here at the Rostov Arena. Al-Sharani can bring it forward for Saudi Arabia. On the right-hand side is the right-back Al-Break. Infield he goes, but there are plenty of light blue shirts to sort that situation out and regain possession.
Well, that's all you can see is light blue shirts. If you look at the picture there, there's no white shirts up against the centre-backs of Uruguay anywhere near the defence. They're all coming towards the ball. They're all sitting deep. Go and win the game, or try and get back in the game and score a goal. You're not going to score goals from being so deep and not putting the Uruguay defenders under pressure at all.
There was a lovely turn on the touchline by Rodrigo Bentancur, and he sprinted away with the ball from Cano, the substitute, who then fouled him just short of the halfway line on Uruguay's left-hand side. And it is a free kick, and that'll enable Oscar Tabarez to make the final substitution available to him. Carlos Sanchez will make way. You perhaps had the best chance of the second half on that half volley, the terrific cross at the far post, and he sent it over the bar.
Yeah, he should have scored from the opportunity, but he has been brilliant today for his team. He has been tireless in everything he's done. His work rate, his tracking back, his delivery into the box has been superb. He is justified getting back in the team today, and I'm sure his manager will be absolutely delighted with him.
So the man that his new teammates at Boca Juniors have dubbed the Baby Rooney.
Another one?
Yeah.
We've got so many dubbed in these games.
We certainly have. It's due to the strength of his shot. Apparently scored a goal in against River Plate in the Argentine League. He played 58 minutes starting against Nathan Nandez. Luis Suarez has come away from a challenge, just rubbing the back of his head. Fernandez is on the right-hand side for Uruguay. Closing stages, 8 minutes remaining. All the build-up to come for Iran against Spain after Portugal's narrow victory against Morocco, courtesy of an early Cristiano Ronaldo goal, his 4th at the World Cup so far. So Portugal on 4 points. Spain start behind Iran in that group. Iran with the 3 points courtesy of a late winner against Morocco in their opener. And of course Spain drawing 3-3 in their opener with Portugal in that terrific game last Friday night. Here comes Saudi Arabia. Al break into Otaif. Could be a chance here to turn on the corner of the penalty area for Magawi, but a sliding challenge comes in, and then the goal kick is conceded by Kano. And at the moment it is very hard to see Saudi Arabia creating the chance that they require to stick it away and maybe get a point late on here, Stephen.
I'm just looking around the team, wondering where it's going to come from. I don't see it coming from anywhere at this moment in time, unless they're suddenly going to spring out the blocks in these last 7 minutes and really go after Uruguay. But again, Uruguay play out from the back and Saudi Arabia retreat to the halfway line.
Here's Varela, the Uruguay right back, and it's all very easy to stroke the ball around in defence. Now it's Bentancur, gets the ball back from Caceres. He goes square, Bentancur to Jimenez. Nathan Nandez into the feet of Cavani. Nandez gets the ball back. Forward it goes to Varela, who's forward on that right-hand side from right back, but they've given the ball away here, Uruguay. And here comes Saudi Arabia on the counter-attack, approaching the halfway line. Into Uruguayan territory they go. Here's Cano. Outbreak is on the right-hand side. Cano across the middle of the field, and that's a very difficult pass for his teammate Al-Dasawi to bring under control, but Saudi Arabia somehow retain possession, and it's Abdullah Otaif in the centre circle. Rolls it forward. Uruguay defending on the edge of their penalty area with no Saudi attacker anywhere close to them at the moment. And it's Saudi Arabia, they're passing the ball around, Stephen, as if they've got a 1-0 lead to protect themselves at the moment. Not that their World Cup survival demands them getting an equalising goal here. Will it come here? Well, the ball was bouncing around in the penalty area. It was a rather lame effort to bring it under control by Al-Dasawi. And now Uruguay can break clear into the Saudi half through Cavani. He's going to knock the ball past Hawsawi towards the edge of the penalty area. Cavani's in, and it's a smothering save by Alois. It was just a determination to keep going there for Edinson Cavani. The shot in the end from about 16 yards, and the goalkeeper was off his line and able to smother a low right-footed shot. But the desire and determination from Cavani got him through a couple of challenges there and almost enabled him to double the Uruguayan advantage.
Yeah, and the Saudi Arabian defender trying to be too clever, trying to turn out. Just pass it back to your goalkeeper and let him clear his lines. A strong, powerful run from Cavani, and he was never really getting there, but Saudi Arabia player slips and gives them the opportunity, and it's actually a very good save.
Down low to his left, with his left foot actually, Mohamed Al-Owais. Cavani looked extremely disappointing, and we await his first goal of Russia 2018. Fernando Muslera at the other end in all red has a goal kick here for Uruguay, inching towards consecutive wins to open a World Cup tournament for the first time since 1954, and inching towards within 4 minutes of confirming their qualification for the knockout phase of Russia 2018, unless Saudi Arabia can do something remarkable in the closing stages. They've yet to register a goal at this tournament. Naitan Nandez wins the throw-in for his side, halfway inside the Saudi Arabia half. In fact, it was Luis Suarez over there. Saudi Arabia have it back, looking to build on their left-hand side. Borelli with a good challenge. Ball breaks back to Uruguay. Here's Bentancur. He turns away from danger and back to his captain, Godin. Now Nandez looking on the right-hand side for Suarez. It was Al-Shorani with the challenge. Nandez again. Here's Suarez. Chips it into the penalty area. Two Uruguayan players have to retreat outside the penalty area. One of them is Cavani. He takes possession, skips around the challenge of Cano, rolls it back gently to Bentancur. He gets it back again. It's very patient once more from the Uruguayans, protecting this one-goal lead, and we have 2.5 minutes or so of the 90 remaining in Rostov.
Well, I'm just very surprised at the way Uruguay are playing. They could pass the ball round the back for 5 minutes now, keep it, and the game's done. But they keep on they're still trying to score, which is credit to them because they feel like they can do it comfortably and not have to worry about them breaking. But there's literally no pressure on the Uruguayan back players when they've got the ball. Just pass it round the back and it's game over. Simple as that.
The lack of pressing the ball is remarkable from the Saudis at the moment, considering they are just over 2 minutes plus stoppage time away from going out of the World Cup.
Well, they're just standing off. They're standing in areas it's not pressing. It's just standing in the way and trying to be in an area.
The penalty area, sorry Stephen, but a right-footed volley from Suarez is sliced well wide, and it's a goal kick from just outside the penalty area from Luis Suarez, whose goal in the first half separates the sides. On this is the 100th appearance for the Uruguayan national team.
That's a great achievement, isn't it? To play for your national team in 100 games, what an achievement, and to mark it with a goal would be extra special for him. And he's up and running in this World Cup, and hopefully there'll be many more goals to come from him, and hopefully Cavani can find a couple himself.
Al-Magawi for Saudi Arabia, and again Bentancur is the midfielder in front of him. Al-Dosawi finds Al-Faraj. Here's Al-Shorani. That cross, or attempted cross, is deflected off a Uruguayan defender and out for a corner kick. And we have less than a minute of the 90 remaining. Another reminder that Iran-Spain kicks off at 7 p.m. in Kazan. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton with the commentary. The build-up to come before kick-off there, of course, on 5 Live. A corner to Saudi Arabia on their left-hand side.
Well, it's last chance saloon, isn't it, to get something out of this game for them.
Cano, the midfielder, the substitute, is 6'3". Maybe he'll be a target. It's hung in the air towards him. He gets his header in, and it's saved by Muslera. It was a looping header. He had to go back and fetch it, didn't he, Cano, really? Couldn't snap the net muscles in time and get any power on that, and it was an easy save by the goalkeeper. But here comes Saudi Arabia again, and here's an opportunity on the edge of the penalty area for Al-Dosawi, and it was an excellent challenge that dispossessed him. Was it Bentancur tracking the run back before he could get a shot away?
Yeah, superb tracking from Bentancur. He's been immense again today. His recovery runs for his team. He makes Godin look fantastic as well, because he's actually helping him out. Doesn't have to do as much defending.
It's an excellent spine to this team, isn't it, for Uruguay? We're into stoppage time. There'll be 4 minutes of it. A hanging cross towards the back post is over everybody. Diego Laxalt, the white midfielder, is down by his own corner flag, and he lobs it down towards the Saudi half, but only as far as Tafe. And all of a sudden there's a bit of urgency in the Saudi play. They've turned it into a 4-minute game here. Can they get level? Yasser Al-Shorani, corner of the penalty area. There's the right-footed shot. It takes a deflection, and there were hearts and mouths for the Uruguayans there. He slaps the turf, Al-Shorani, and in the end it was easy enough for a stooping Muslera to just pick up off the turf. But it was a big deflection that, had the initial contact been harder and crisper, might have caused more problems.
I just felt he should have put it in the box. Get it out of your feet and bend the ball into the box. For the first time in the game, you had men in the box to hit. and he comes inside on his weaker right foot and drags the shot. It's going horribly wide, and it takes a big deflection into the Uruguayan goalkeeper's hands.
90 seconds of the minimum of 4 minutes added on here have been played. Uruguay 1 and heading to the round of 16. Saudi Arabia 0, heading home after their final group game against Egypt.
Brilliant support from the Uruguayan fans. We've heard them all the way through the game, backing the team, and they love this team. You can see they're right behind them. They've been superb.
Waving flags, the blue and white horizontal stripes with the yellow sun in the top left-hand corner. We've seen plenty of them in the crowd. Laxal down the left-hand side. Al-Break is the defender who wins the immediate battle, and then it goes out of play off the Saudi defender. He immediately peered round at the referee that told you his guilt. It's a corner kick to Uruguay. No hurry for them to take this, or indeed to get it inside the penalty area. I wouldn't have thought. We've had 2.5 minutes almost up to 4 minutes at the end of this game, and Uruguay are indeed going to take their time. Cavani's in the penalty area, and Saudi Arabia are heading meekly out of the World Cup as it stands. It was their 5th World Cup finals, their first since 2006, and they qualified for 4 straight between 94 and 2006. Torreira takes it short to Suarez. Suarez down by the corner flag, just almost trying to draw the free kick from Al Dasawi. I think he's going to get it as well. No, he's not actually. The referee is right on it. He's got his hands on his head and a broad smile there, Luis Suarez. Free kick is taken too quickly, I think, or from the wrong place by Saudi Arabia, and they're going to have to go back. We're in the final minutes of the 4 minutes added on, Stephen Warnock, and look, it hasn't been the greatest game. I don't think people are going to be rushing to W.H. Smith for the DVD, but do you think Uruguay deserve the victory?
Yeah, they're very resolute in what they do. They've got a structure to the way they play, and with Cavani and Suarez in the team, you can see that they can nick goals, and they are my dark horses for the competition. I was a bit worried after the first game, I'll admit, because I didn't think they played all that well, but today they put in a real strong performance, but a very disappointing performance from the Saudi Arabians.
Well, 1 or 2 of them slumped to the turf. The French referee has blown the final whistle in Rostov. Abdullah Otaif is down on his haunches. The goalkeeper Mohamed El Awais has his forehead on the turf. Luis Suarez, on his 100th appearance for Uruguay, has scored his 52nd goal. It's consecutive 1-0 victories to open Russia 2018 for Uruguay. It's the first time they've won their opening 2 games since 1954, and Oscar Tavares' side have already clinched their place in the knockout round of Russia 2018, with the host Russia to play off with for first or second place in Group A. Juan Antonio Pizzi, his side have lost their opening 2 games. They failed to score a goal. 4-0 against 6. No points. They're going home after playing Egypt in what is a dead rubber. Stephen Warnock, how do you sum up what you've seen this afternoon?
A lack of drive from Saudi Arabia, an acceptance that they were already going home. They didn't really go after Uruguay at all, but Uruguay fully deserved the victory. A nice finish from Luis Suarez on his 100th cap for Uruguay, and they look very, very strong defensively as well.
So, final score in Rostov. Stephen Warnock, thank you very much indeed. Uruguay are through to the round of 16. Saudi Arabia are out. Final score, Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia